All right, all right. How are y'all feeling out there? Welcome, welcome. Wanted to get on here. Just put together a training Zoom for the team, go over some admin notes. I won't hold you long, so if you're watching this on replay, let me know if you have any questions. So for our admin notes, one of the major things that I think is going to be helpful and help us be successful is you have to set monthly goals for yourself. What are you doing when you get up? What are you working towards? What date do you want to have that done by? So I think it's helpful as months wind down that you set your goals for the next month. And there's different ways you can set those goals. Maybe it's how many people you want to help this month. Maybe it's a promotion you're going for, or maybe, monetary, or maybe to get something else done on the services. So that's all going to depend on what you personally want to do, but I would say that that's something that's important to do. How much training maybe you want to get done? Maybe it's I want to complete, the entire Bean Academy catalog this month, or I want to get on the MWR back office and finish my training there, or I want to find some other things, seminars to attend, game changers to attend. So there's lots of ways you can set goals. And then maybe how much time freedom do you want to create for yourself? I'm going to bring in this much income so that now I have freedom of time and I don't have to worry about going out there and trading, my energy for dollars. I would also ask you to remember your why. I think why we join this business for one reason, some end up staying for another, but it's something to keep in mind when, maybe there's days you don't feel like it, or maybe just you get wrapped up in chasing something else that you forgot why you originally, joined, and reevaluating, is that still why you're here, and how important that is for your family or for you in the grand scheme of things. And then as far as team goes, I'd say my goal for the team is just, I want us to really rally around each other, wrap our arms around each other's goals. Because as they say, teamwork makes the dream work. So if I'm helping you work on yours, which then maybe in turn helps me with mine, there's a sense of community. And Extra Digit Movement is a huge community. Our legacy movement, huge community. So I would like to just help us instill that. I'm going to go ahead and go over the new EDM philosophy flowchart that we have. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So, okay, share my screen. Here we go. So as I was just talking about in the admin notes, there are some things you want to do with goals, but also what you want to do. If you can see up here at the front, we're going to go through the AD in 90 days funnel for the Extra Digit Movement. And if you haven't, or there's a member of your team who hasn't, they really should text EDM to this number. What that's going to do is it's going to get you plugged in. You're going to get information about all the Zooms that we have coming up. You're going to get inspirational text in there. It's just, that's where all the magic happens. It'll also direct you, if it's the first time you're texting it, on what to do next. Since you're here with me, I'll just tell you what's next. And you're going to go ahead and create an Extra Digit Movement profile on mindmoneymakeover.com. All one word. Actually, I need to write something down. But that's the community that we're going to, when you go into there, it's similar to some of the other social media sites, just without the distraction. So in there, you'll see team welcome letters, you'll see rank advancements, you'll see posts from Brian himself, you'll see different rooms that will start to be activated on the left side of it when you join. And I probably have it pulled up so I can show you what it looks like, and we don't have to talk about this in theory. Yes, I'm logged in. So I'm gonna share a different screen. So here's what I'm talking about. When you create your account and your profile, mindandmoneymakeover.com, you'll see here the different spaces. When you join, everyone has access to the Extra Digit Movement. You can earn your way into the inner circle and these other rooms as well. So just to give you an idea of what you'll see on there, new QFDs who join the team, go ahead and upload your welcome email. If you're in the inner circle, there's a new challenge posted. Brian's talking about affirmations. You'll see we have members over here. There's some posts that were pinned. And so this is a really good forum to keep us focused on why we're here. Like I said, it works similar to other social media sites, but this is for the business. Okay, so back to sharing the AD funnel. So that's what happens when you create your profile on mindmoneymakeover.com. Next, you want to see, and I'll go back because it was in that same screen, see AD in 90 days. It's actually on mindmoneymakeover.com. And so what you'll notice is there's a pattern that one step is feeding the next. So it's really hard to jump from 0 to step 3. You should go in order. So I'm just go back to showing you on mindmoneymakeover.com where you're going to be looking for that at. There should have been when you first joined. I wonder if it was moved or if it's under the pinned post. Go back to the home screen. I don't see it here anymore. If I go to home, that's why. Sorry, I wasn't at home. So when you first join, this is what you'll be able to see. You can see I need to join 3 spaces. So here's where you follow the steps that I was just showing you on the funnel. Open up your EDM University account. This is where I was saying if one of your goals every month is to do some training, here's a place to do training. There's different videos. As you can see, when you join, you're already getting some training for free. And Brian is from the seminar world, as you know, you may hear us say from time to time. And all that really means is that he gets paid. He has a company that's paid to develop training. So this is not, you know, him hopping on a Zoom. He's been doing this for quite a while. Also, it's saying that when you go in, go ahead and schedule your first 2 profit parties. Get with your upline SD, AD, or district. And what they'll be able to do is help start exposing and helping you educate for the business. And also what you want to do is go ahead and print the 80 and 90 days quick start and roadmaps. I've printed it several times. It's very helpful for me. I'm opening it up so you can see what it looks like. I'm in a hotel, so I have like spotty Wi-Fi, but it should be coming up soon. But I'll talk you through it in the meantime. But what's in there is you'll see the extra accountability tracker. And so it kind of breaks it down for you, this business one by one by one. And so when I say you have to start at step 1 and get over to here, it'll eliminate a lot of that. I don't know what to do. What's next? Where do I start? Type of anxiety you might feel when you're starting something brand new. You can do it week by week, or you can probably knock out a lot of these if you're focused and you make the time for it in less than a month. But it's designed to get you off to a very efficient start in this business and just help you. It takes out the guesswork. There's some extra digit bases. This is a worksheet, but there's actually bases loaded training that you'll also have access to. But what it does is it helps you figure out some of the things you need to do. And I won't go through all of this because I want to get back to the AD flow worksheet. And I want you to see what I was talking about. This is one of the most important documents that I've come across. And that's because it just kind of helps if promotions and building a team is one of your goals. This is going to be how you can not only get promoted to senior director, but also get your monthly pay to $600 a month. I'm getting there because what that does is it takes care of my car payment. So if I'm paying my regular car payment plus the $600 a month, I'm going to be sitting at a private reserve account very soon because I would be debt free using with the strategies we have. Here's some other roadmaps just so you can see. And he prints it 3 times in here for you so that you can see all of these things. Wealth worksheets are in here. Again, there's training for all of this, but these are also where the worksheets are. So it's like once you print this and get a binder started, you'll have access to everything you need as you move down the training funnel. So speaking of the funnel, let's get back there. And here you go, start, share, stay, very next step. And so you'll see trainwithbnb.com, you'll create your account there. And all this does is it breaks it down for you in one place. But as you see, when you follow each step, it references the next step right there. And finally, go ahead and start using your services. Your testimony is going to be really important as we get down the road. There's also MWR's testimonials page you can use, but we're trying to go ahead and increase your cash flow. That was definitely a selling point for me when it came to joining the business. And what he does is also list out for you, how do you keep up with what your website is? I wrote mine down because when you're in the heat of the moment, it's easy to just copy and paste it out of your notes in your phone. But if you have people on your team, I write down everyone's, so that way if we're on a three-way call and you don't need to be fidgeting and fumbling around, I'll just send it to you real quick. I'm like, hey, Dion's going to send you a link, or, Jason's going to send you a link. And so I'd like to have them all consolidated. So I would encourage you to do the same for your team. So here's the funnel. It is broken down into 2 spots, and it kind of does look like the time capsule thing. So at the top, what you have is the EDM philosophy. And when we think of philosophy, that's the theories and everything behind the action we're going to do. So at the bottom, you see approach. That's going to be the action. At the top is the mindset of what we're doing and just getting us all on the same page there. It's really important we go over this, because if we understand the philosophy, then we can actually execute it properly and have the why behind it. So the first thing you're going to see is the biggest part, is expose. You're going to have to expose it to more people than we actually are able to educate. And so when you start with expose, that's everything from doing your private Zooms, the business launch parties. You might have some profit parties, some webinars, some conference calls. Those are the 3 main ways that we're actually going to expose the business. You also see on here, social media is another big way you can do this. You can do this through emails. You can do it in general conversation. That's probably the most natural way, but just general conversation, you'll be able to expose what's going on. And after you expose, then you're going to educate, because as you see, that gets a little more narrow. So everyone that you expose is not going to jump on for the education part. But for those who do, what we always stress is we're not recruiters. All we do is actually educate folks. So once we get them to at least agree to listen to what you have to say, that's where the wealth worksheets come into play. And Brian has a really good series where he breaks it down for you on how to fill out the wealth worksheets. This is not anything that you have to learn about yourself. So when you're talking about the rule of 72, watch Brian's training, take good notes, practice it a few times. I've actually practiced the Stop Leaving Money on the Table series and just getting myself together with understanding how it works. So that's how you can educate yourself while also learning along with your prospects or whomever you're sharing this information with. Get on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, different things like that, and just kind of show yourself doing the training. And that'll also be a good way to expose while you're simultaneously educating. You can do interviews with your upline, you can do interviews with me, and it's just another way that we're educating. And it may knock out 2 birds with 1 stone, right? You're exposing the business while simultaneously educating on what's going on. So after you educate, the next thing that's going to happen, because you're going to do a peek and pass, is you need to edify. And so we edify because people may respect us or trust us, but they're going to respect the expert. And so just like it's easier if you have a little bit of information on them. So why should I listen to this person? What credentials do they have? And it can come across a little weird if the person on the phone is like, well, this is why you should listen to me, versus I trust you. So if you tell me all these great things about that person, then there's probably someone I should listen to. And so edification is really just speaking highly of others. Maybe some cash flow testimonies that you can pull from the MWR financial page. There's going to be some success stories that while you're waiting on yours, your upline may already have. We post all the time the different things that's happening to us. There's team success stories. And as you go along, you'll have your personal success stories that you can also use to edify both the expert that you're going to put on the phone and the business itself. And so after edification, you will enroll. And so as you see, like I said, the funnel is just going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. So that's why you expose to a lot, because there are a number of statistics say that everyone you expose it to will not enroll immediately. And while we're on that topic, just realize that no just means not yet, not right now. It's nothing personal. But we always want to allow someone else to do the close for you. Again, like I said, this is where you have your website in handy, have your name written down. But we've done this a couple of times where you get a prospect on the phone and, we call Mr. Ivory, we call Jason. In some instances, you've called me, but let someone else close for you. I want to say that degree of separation between the person you're on the phone with and the close has been really useful. And so that's the EDM philosophy. Like I said, it's about the mindset. It's about what we're thinking. It's about the different things that are going into the theory of what we're actually doing. Now let's get into the action phase. That's going to be the approach. And for anyone who wasn't on here earlier, EDM, extra digit movement. I don't want to get to talking with too many acronyms and you don't even understand what I'm talking about. The extra digit movement is what Mr. Brian Bean founded. It's our larger community or smaller community within the larger context of MWR Financial. So In the green, we have prospect. And so this is where you really just want to ask questions. It's like a screening, get to know people. What I've noticed is when I'm prospecting, what it helps me do is figure out where their pain points are, what's going to trigger them, what's going to be the one thing that you can do that's going to actually help them. Because what you don't want to do is overwhelm them. Well, this is what I like about it, and this is what works for me. That's not what they're here for. We're educating them on what's going to work for them, potentially based off of what they tell you. So just know the more questions you ask, the less you talk, the more the company tends to pay, because that's the more people that will enroll and be willing to follow you down the funnel. So just let them tell you different things about them. And there's an acronym form that you want to keep in mind. So the F is, family. O is occupation. R is kind of, what are they doing their off time? What recreational activities are they into? And then M is really important because you want to know what their motivation is. Some people's motivation is their family, but you won't know these things unless you're actually letting them talk to you. And so that's why it's very important to prospect. And after you prospect, then you're going to get into what we call the peak and pass. And so it's the two-part technique, but they actually go together. So once you've prospected, you've probably figured out their trigger points, you figured out their motivations, you might know a thing or two about, their family, then you can develop your questioning, right? So when people say, they're well off and they have this, or you get to know them in that way, you may say, well, have you ever heard of land banking? And that's just a question you ask. So the peak is really just asking a question. You don't have to do this, full out speech about, well, I'm in this company, and you can keep it simple. Ask a question. That's probably the simplest form and one of the most effective forms of peaking. And once they say no, then you want to throw them into a three-way text with your upline, either AD or district, even your senior director, you can throw them in a text, because then what can happen is we're going to say no. Well, I have someone who can give you some information on what that is, kind of, piques their interest a little more. And it's been really helpful when I throw them into a three-way text with Jason, is usually how I work that out. And so he'll send them a video, 2-minute video, 13-minute video. And what we're doing is we're still actually prospecting a little bit at this stage. What we're doing is putting them in the car wash. They've been through your test. Now let them go through another test with the AD. Maybe your district's on the phone with them. Let them go through another test, because there are going to be things that our leaders know that we're not going to pick up on right away. But it's also doing a little bit more prospecting, because we're pulling more information from them. We're seeing what came to them in the video that they actually enjoyed. And we just kind of get to figure out, again, how we can help them. And so after the peak and pass, you want to kind of get them to a presentation. So this is, like I said, the text thread. This is at a private Zoom you may be having. The company has Zooms Mondays and Thursdays, and then Brian Bean and the EDM community, they have them on Wednesdays. So there's plenty of opportunities to actually get them in front of some information so that they can actually see it. What you can also do when it comes to present is get them just like in front of something. So you can do a profit party in person. Some people don't, do as well in the webinar world, or maybe the private Zoom is a better thing for them, but you just would need to know your prospect a little bit better to know what may be the best way to do that. And so after you present, we're going to plug and promote. And so there's a couple of things I'd like to say. When it comes to plug and promote, this is typically after, someone has joined. And what's important about the plug and promote is you can't really build a business with an empty calendar. I've seen it firsthand that is the truth. If you're going to build a team and you're going to be a part of the community and you're going to build your business, you have to have things on the calendar. You have to have, Zooms on the calendar, three-way calls scheduled, profit party scheduled. There has to be activity. Nothing happens until you do something. Like, there's no money that's going to come in if there's no action being taken. And so if we're not exposing and educating, edifying and enrolling, there's nowhere for the money to actually come in from. So that's one of the biggest things that you want to remember when it comes to keeping your calendar full, and also those roadmap sheets that we went over, because it helps keep it focused. You cannot keep it all in your head, especially if you're building an empire. Trust me, it's impossible to keep the team straight and everyone's goals straight. And if we're all here to help people, I'm giving you this fair warning. It is just very important to put that stuff on paper. And so when it comes to plug, you also got to plug in. There's a great example they gave us actually at this virtual game changer is you go to turn on the light switch and you're like, why is this thing not working? And then you realize it's not plugged in. So if there's no electricity flowing to it, there's no light coming out. And that's like a really good analogy to keep in mind when it comes to what we have going on. Where do you plug in? The extra digit movement community, lots of information there. Like we mentioned at the top of the spreadsheet, go ahead and text EDM to this number. That is a fantastic place to start when it comes to plugging into the information. Jump on the Zooms yourself. Jump on the team Zooms. Just because you didn't invite any guests doesn't mean you shouldn't be on the Zoom. One thing I've definitely noticed that's helpful is you get to see different styles of presentation. You get to see how people are given the information. You get to learn new things and updates as it comes out. So don't think because you've been to one, you've been to them all. That's not how this works. There's going to be game changer events. Some will be virtual, some will be in person. Different experience every time. The information is going to be updated. The energy is going to be different. There's going to be different guest speakers. There's going to be things we learned in the last month that wasn't at that game changer. So now it's at this game changer. And again, it's just really important to stay plugged into these different community events. And so once you plug in, you can get promoted, but also make sure you're promoting the next event to your teammates. Make sure your team always knows what's coming next so we can plan for it. A lot of these things, especially when we're talking about travel, people are traveling from all over the place. So they really want to be able to plan for these things. And that is what is called the EDM approach. And so we have just went through the funnel. I see we had some people join online, so I will stop sharing my screen for a second to go ahead and see what's going on in the chat. See what questions. Oh, thank you, Camille. Does anybody have any questions or any comments before I close down the Zoom? All right, hearing none, I do thank you for tuning in. This is being recorded, so it'll be available on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much.